Hey guys, welcome to General Query. This is Fonz. I go by he, him, and his.
Hi guys, and this is Zuki, and I go by she, her, and hers. Welcome back to General Query. How are ya? How the hell are ya, Fonz?
How the hell are we doing? Yeah. Well, we were talking off camera. Yeah. We were talking off camera. I think we both are not okay.
I would say the answer is not okay,
Not
period.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's been a rough start to Pride Month, y'all. It's been a rough start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're only
Um
5 days in.
5 days in, contrary to the belief of some of the comments that you read to me in a certain Instagram post that we'll discuss, it is not June 19th yet. It's barely June 5th. Um, and that's crazy. But really quickly, at the top of the podcast, I want to make sure I give a shout out to this amazing and historic moment in world history. The nation of Mexico elected its first ever woman president a couple of days ago, actually on Monday. It was official. It was projected on Sunday, official on Monday. Claudia Sheinbaum is now the president of the United States of Mexico, La República Mexicana. So she takes power on October 1st. And it's amazing. She is a PhD. She is a climate scientist, a climate engineer, actually. Very, very well educated. And on so many.
Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Right.
And she is a trailblazer in more ways than one. Not only is she a woman, she is also a Jewish woman in a largely Catholic country. And I'm just so proud. I am just so proud.
What I think is more historic about this is the fact that Mexico has a history of being a very patriarchal country. You
Yep.
know, like the men, they glorify men for some odd reason. Um, and
Boggles
finally,
the mind. Yeah.
2024, a female president before the US ever got one.
Before the
So
US. Yeah. And I think
it's mind blowing. Yeah.
it's mind blowing. And
I will
it's
say
like,
this, like we haven't really had like strong female candidates so
yeah,
far.
no,
So that's unfortunate for us. But
it's yes. But I think, yeah, it was such like uplifting news in a news cycle that has been so dark for so long, where nothing good has really happened in a long time. And I think like as a Mexican, it is y'all, when I tell you every article I came across, any TikTok, I'm just in tears. And one of my favorite things is in her acceptance speech, I might cry, y'all. She starts her acceptance speech saying that this wasn't about her and that she didn't get there alone. And she thanks her ancestors. Those are exactly the words that she uses. She thanks her ancestors and she thanks all the mothers and the daughters and the granddaughters that put her where she is. And it was just such a unapologetically like woman forward message that it was amazing. She did such a good job. She's going to continue to do a great job. Um, and so I'm just super, super excited. I have a brother that still lives in Mexico. And I am so proud to say, is very, very politically involved. And he was out there pounding the pavement for Claudia during the campaign cycle and everything. And that in itself makes me super proud to have a family member that was so committed to getting her into that position. So I'm just so excited. So that's good news, everyone. Let's, golf claps for Claudia. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just, so much more exciting than anything that's going on in the US
Or in the
because,
world in general.
or in the world, yeah,
Yeah.
in general.
I hate
Yeah,
that like every time we open with that, it's kind of like well, there's not many like amazing news happening. Have you
I
seen all
know.
the tornadoes happening in Texas?
I have. And to quote most of the people in Texas, maybe that's God trying to tell y'all something. I hate to be that bitch, but since you guys, want to use God for
Right.
everything, maybe he's mad at y'all.
Maybe you should listen.
Maybe you should listen. No, just obviously climate change is real and it's fucking awful.
Right, right, right.
And that's what
Speaking
it sounds.
of climate change, was it today or yesterday? I don't remember. I think it was yesterday. My boyfriend was telling me that apparently there's like a blizzard coming to Argentina in places where they've never even seen snow. So I thought that
Never
was
seen
like,
snow.
what the fuck?
Yeah, there is I'm trying to remember where in the world, but they're officially starting to evacuate certain areas because of rising sea levels already. Like officially. They're like, "Oh shit. We got to move."
Right.
Yeah, so that's another super fun thing.
Let's hope
Uh
that's not California.
let's hope it's yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, let's hope it's not. No, it's not. It's an island somewhere, I think. Can't remember. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like by Greece and all that crazy shit.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, they're starting to evacuate. So that's not great, but we're still trying to keep it together. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not a good sign, and I think normally, you guys know, we try to keep it super cute, super peppy here at General Query. But also sometimes you gotta read a bitch. Uh, and before we get into anything today, because we're gonna talk about some fun stuff, we're gonna talk about Harvey Milk today, who bless him, may he rest in eternal peace in gay heaven. Because only two people go to heaven, animals and gay people. And so and
That's
you can
funny.
quote me on that. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Harvey Milk, who was amazing, trailblazer for the community, and then we're going to talk about some other not so fun stuff. But Fonz made me aware of a certain post on the gram, okay? And it was very specifically an El Paso post, which made me even angrier because it's so embarrassing for all of our collective souls. Um, and I'm going to let Fonz explain what the post was, and then we can go into why it made me so mad. Yeah.
Yeah. So so it was a post by Noticias 26, which is like a local newscast.
Yeah.
And the only thing they highlighted was the fact that we as a community finally get the rainbow represented on the El Paso, Texas Star, which if you guys have never seen El Paso, have never heard of El Paso, we do have a massive star on the mountain and it lights up in different colors depending on whatever's happening throughout the year, regardless of what popular knowledge is. The star does change colors depending on what's happening.
Yeah.
But anyway, for June, it's the first year, 2024, first year that the star lights up in the rainbow colors. And so that was the post. Now the comments were a whole different story.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the comments were, I told Fonz, I was like, just read me some like what could people be and see, my mistake was what could people possibly have to say about this? That was my first mistake.
Right.
But then when he started reading some of the comments, to be honest, I was like, oh, okay. So it's your quintessential El Paso comment of I don't actually participate in anything to make my community better. I don't vote. I think it's stupid. I don't know what's actually going on in my local government. I have 3 baby mamas and I'm behind on my child support. But what I will comment on is some rainbow colors on the flag and on the El Paso star. And my favorite thing about some of the comments is like, of course, you have your token, but what about the troops comment? Which is funny because once again, people really love to bring up the troops when it comes to anything pride related, but I guarantee you not one of them has donated to a veteran organization, or more than likely, if they vote, which is a big if, because you should look up the rates of voting people in El Paso, they're embarrassingly low. But if they do vote, they'll probably end up voting for a candidate that doesn't give 2 fucks about veterans or, active duty service members. But they sure as fuck have a lot to say about why aren't we lighting it up in the colors of the flag for like the troops, So they'll say that.
But also,
yeah,
what pissed me off the most was not even the comment itself. It was more so the lack of knowledge.
Yeah, tell them.
And the knowledge as a whole.
Please tell them.
Because, like I mentioned when I was describing what the post was about, the star has been lit up for our troops. The star has been lit up for our, police officers. The star has been lit up for our firefighters and, first responders and stuff. So, the fact that you don't even know that speaks to the amount of ignorance that, you're pushing out into the world.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's that, because correct me if I'm wrong, Fonz, but you said basically whatever cause you would like displayed on the star, you can pay to have that happen. Is that correct?
So it has to get approved, but yes, you have to. Yeah, I think there's funds that go into it for sure.
Sure. Okay. So once again, if you feel so compelled to have an ongoing thing to honor veterans or honor whoever,
do something about it.
You can go ahead and go take it down to City Hall.
Also, do your research, because remember, every month has something to celebrate.
Every single month. That's the great thing about the calendar.
It's our turn.
Yeah. And again, this whole idea, well, when is straight month? Every month. Every month, every day is straight month. Every year.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. You just reminded me of something because it was kind of funny. So I was at work. I was talking to my coworkers and stuff, having like a little 5-minute touch base, and then one of the employees was like, he asked a question, and then I replied, and then another employee said the same thing, but like in straight vocabulary,
straight speak.
Yeah. So I was talking to another gay person, and then the guy kind of like came up and he said the same thing but straight bro-ish, because that's a language. And then I was like, what does that even mean? And then he explained, and I was like, okay, here's the thing, it's our month. Like, sorry. Right.
This month it's about us.
Okay. We'll talk about more about these comments on our second segment. I like segment
for sure
of the podcast.
Because that'll be important. But yeah, so needless to say, I was angry, disappointed, but not surprised.
Right.
And yeah, we'll definitely go more into it on the second half. But man, okay. Listen, I just it's just so sad and disappointing. But we have things to celebrate otherwise, either way. Not from our country necessarily, but in general.
Right.
Which I think is a good thing. Guarantee you we're gonna get some messages that are like, who cares that there's a woman president in Mexico? We're not in Mexico, something like that.
Or go back to Mexico.
Go back to Mexico. Right. And I'm gonna be like, no.
like we will buy a property in Mexico
You
for
can't
sure.
make me. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but like we said, so we throughout the month, right? We wanted to highlight
Yeah.
amazing figures within the gay community or LGBTQIA community. We wanted to make sure we were like, giving you some fun facts along with some reality. And so that you have some people in the forefront of your mind that were super important to where the community is now. So I love it. Fonzie decided that we should start with Mr. Harvey Milk, like I said at the top of the episode.
And before I get any credit for it, so Suki was actually the one that suggested him when we started this month. And I was like, great, let's do it. We'll do it. So that's why Harvey Milk is like our first one.
Yeah. And so the thing about Harvey Milk and the reason why he always stands out in my head is because Harvey Milk is largely associated with the city of San Francisco. And if you are a queer person, if you are a person with taste and class, you have a special in your heart for the city of San Francisco.
Right.
I
think all you need to know, I mean, if you are queer, period, whether you're closeted queer or out and proud, you know what San Francisco means to all of us. Yeah.
100%. As we know, San Francisco is where the first Pride happened. A lot of the figures of the first wave of modern Pride come from there. So and we'll get into the details.
It's
but
always,
if you don't know,
it's weird, but it's always been like East Coast, West Coast. So like New York and then San Francisco.
Yeah, it's always a two coast. So if you have any like more questions about that, please go back and listen to our last year's Pride episode because we really go into that last year. So I will start. So y'all, he had the cutest middle name. So Harvey Bernard Milk. Bernard. Oh, his parents wanted him to be straight so bad. You know?
I like that name for like a dog. Bernard,
Bernard. So cute. He was born on May 22nd, 1930, which makes him what? What was he? What's his zodiac?
Oh God.
Scorpio?
That's a question for Ms. Des.
Yeah, Des, weigh in. Need to know what zodiac sign Harvey Milk was because I feel like it'll probably tell us a lot about his personality.
That's true. When was it? What month was it?
22nd. May 22nd.
So he has to be a Taurus. No, I think that's actually a Gemini. Yeah, 22nd is Gemini for sure.
Both signs that I love, even though my charts say I shouldn't. But I do love them very much. In case that isn't clear, Fonz is a Taurus. So this is why you get the magic you get. Okay.
Around you, who's a Gemini?
Huh? I don't know any. I don't know any.
Well, my mom's a Gemini, but she's like a June Gemini.
Yeah, your mom doesn't count. And that's the thing. Your mom is a literal twin. So
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's like double there.
Right.
But anyway, so Harvey Bernard Milk was an American politician and the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California as a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. Milk was born and raised in New York, another coast thing.
East Coast, West Coast, yep.
Where he acknowledged his homosexuality as an adolescent, but chose to pursue sexual relationships with secrecy and discretion well into his adult years.
Right.
His experience in the counterculture of the 1960s caused him to shed many of his conservative views about individual freedom and the expression of sexuality. So he moved to San Francisco in 1972, and he opened a camera store there. But the thing about Harvey that I know, I listened to several podcasts about his life, is Harvey couldn't stay still. Okay. Harvey had 20,000 jobs. He jumped jobs all the time. He was a very artistic and sort of creatively driven person, even though he ended up being a politician. He was very creative, and he was just the type of soul that just couldn't stay and do one thing for a long period of time. He was a very well practiced photographer. So any camera work, anything like that, that was his shit. In fact, in San Francisco, he owned a camera store for a period of time.
So now that you mentioned he couldn't sit still,
yeah,
100% Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini to his core. So when he moved to San Francisco, he settled in the Castro neighborhood.
Of course.
A neighborhood that at the time was experiencing a mass migration of gay men and lesbians. So that was at the time. Now, if you go to San Francisco, you know that is the neighborhood, right?
Yeah. You just need to walk into a coffee shop.
Right, exactly. So he was compelled to run for city supervisor in 1973. And oddly enough, but maybe not so oddly, this goes right into our second half of the episode, because he encountered quite a bit of resistance from the existing gay political establishment. His campaign was compared to theater. He was brash, outspoken, animated, and outrageous, earning media attention and votes, although not enough to be elected the first time around. He campaigned again in the next two supervisor elections, dubbing himself the mayor of Castro Street. Voters responded enough to warrant his running for the California State Assembly. So he took full advantage of his growing popularity, and he led the gay political movement in fierce battles against anti-gay initiatives. And this is important because ultimately, the animal that ended up killing Harvey Milk was around from the beginning of his career as a politician. And he had a deep hatred for Harvey and what Harvey stood for. He was finally elected city supervisor in 1977. After San Francisco recognized its election procedures to choose representatives from neighborhoods rather than through citywide ballots. So that's how and I believe that still how San Francisco does it, which is very unique. And I think works a lot and makes a lot of sense with like the vibe of San Francisco in general, right? Because I mean, you spent some time there, Fonz. Like I don't want to say it's segmented because it's not, but the culture in San Francisco is so rich. And I think a lot of it has to do with that neighborhood split, right?
Yeah.
Like neighborhoods have their own identity. I don't know. Yep. That's the vibe I got, right?
Yeah. And it's the same thing in New York where like neighborhoods are very like not split, but you can clearly tell what neighborhood you're in just because of that diversity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. So Milk served almost 11 months in office. He sponsored a bill banning discrimination in public accommodations, huge deal, housing and employment on the basis of sexual orientation.
I think that's highlight. Like he played a massive part in making sure people in San Francisco weren't being discriminated against because of their sexual orientation.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that this was put in place and driven and put together by a gay person made all the difference in the world. And we talk about this a lot, like, you know, another huge buzzword right now is DEI, right? Diversity and inclusion, right? And people have this, it's like the new affirmative action, right? For racists. They love to bring up DEI and say, this is what's ruining the country, blah, 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 all this stuff. But the reason why DEI is so important is because the diversity of background allows the world to progress in a much more meaningful way, right?
Well, here's the thing. when you think about it, of course, these conservatives, of course, these bigots, of course, these racists do not like that because it challenges the way they already think. It challenges the way that
Exactly.
they were brought up. Yeah.
Precisely. Yes, absolutely. So he, like we said, he helped pass that bill. Um, and so that bill, this is very important, passed 11-1 in the assembly. So it only had one dissenting vote. And that one dissenting vote was by Dan White, the piece of shit that killed him a few years later. So he became obviously an icon, and unfortunately, through the way he passed away, a martyr as well for the gay community in San Francisco. Um, in 2002, Milk was recognized as the most famous and most significantly open LGBTQ official ever elected in the United States. Anne Cronenberg, his final campaign manager, wrote of him, "What set Harvey apart from you or me was that he was a visionary. He imagined a righteous world inside his head, and then he set out about to create it for real, for all of us." Milk was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009. So that's a very, very short, very, very condensed sort of overview of who Harvey was, but I highly recommend, and we'll link some of the podcasts that I've listened about his life. I don't want to spend any time talking about the guy that murdered him. Just know he was a fucking maniac, and he killed one more person on that same day that he killed Harvey Milk. But really getting into the nitty-gritty of his life is definitely worth your time.
Yeah.
He was so funny. He was
Well,
like,
he from what I read, he was very much into like musical theater and
yes,
performance and everything. Yeah.
yes,
And so
yes,
what I found very interesting is like throughout Obama's campaign or like presidency, he was mentioned multiple times. Like his
yeah,
impact is still very live now in 2024.
yeah. No, absolutely. And the thing that's so important about him as a politician in the latter half of his life is that he had a very community-based view of politics and how the world should run. He was very
Yeah.
much about small business, the community, making sure that things were available to those on the lower income brackets. He
Yeah.
was very, very, very much community-minded, which I think is key, right? And how he wanted the changes to his own community to come through and actually
Yeah.
have staying power. And the thing is, they do, because to this day, what he put into law stands.
Yeah.
So,
I think from what I remember, like the only major retailer, and I mean that with like groceries or any like needs whatsoever,
mhm.
that is accessible in San Francisco is Target.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you can't find a Walmart for miles, and it's great.
and it's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, absolutely. So, um, this was this is a really funny thing that I saw that was really funny. It was Harvey was responding to city residents' largest complaint about living in San Francisco, which was dog feces at the time. Milk made it a priority to enact the ordinance requiring dog owners to take care of their pets' droppings. A prominent journalist at the time noted, some would claim Harvey was a socialist or various other sorts of ideologues, but in reality, Harvey's political philosophy was never more complicated than the issue of dog shit. Government should solve people's basic problems. which I think is the funniest and sort of, yeah, it's a really good way to summarize again that he was very community minded, and had a very full, loving life. And the only thing that I can say is I hope that we get to see his legacy realized, right?
Yeah.
Eventually.
I also hope we get to see more of him around.
More hymns around.
I think for now, the majority of your politicians are very self-centered or revolve around like what's going to benefit them the most versus like the community. And that's what we're missing out on. Like we need people who will stand up against bigotry or racism and who want more of this equality and like, not that massive separation of like rich and poor because the lines are getting smaller and smaller. There's no middle class.
Smaller and smaller. And that's actually so great that you bring that up because one of the things that I wanted to highlight, last episode, we asked y'all lovely people to share your coming out stories, right? And we talked about the importance of visibility, right? In the last year of his life, Harvey emphasized that gay people should be more visible to help to end the discrimination and violence against them. Although Milk had not come out to his mother before her death, many years before in his final statement during his staged prediction of his assassination, because that's something people don't know, he predicted his own death. He openly to several people said that he knew someone was going to kill him, which is crazy. Crazy Gemini energy. He urged others to become visible. He said, I cannot prevent anyone from getting angry or mad or frustrated. I can only hope that they'll turn that anger and frustration and madness into something positive so that 2, 3, 4, 500 will step forward. So the gay doctors will come out. The gay lawyers, the gay judges, the gay bankers, the gay architects. I hope that every professional gay will say enough. Come forward and tell everybody, wear a sign, let the world know. Maybe that will help.
Yep. And I think I love that statement because that's what we've been saying in this podcast from the beginning.
Yeah.
Be loud, be queer, and be proud.
Be proud.
Yeah. I think just to sum up the segment of the podcast, I think that's why we're doing this. And I think that's why both Suki and I put a massive emphasis on Pride Month. It's because we need to be louder, 10 times louder. And we need to be visible more than anything. Yeah. And if you're hearing us during Pride Month, it is your month.
Yeah. It is your month. It is your month. It is your month. And I'm so glad that somebody had the money to light up the star. We'll talk about it. I'm not gonna let it go. But yeah, it is your month. And so I highly, highly, highly recommend. I'll link the podcast, guys, that I listened to because they were so good. And it's so inspiring to hear. I know, especially for someone like me, that I am an ally to the community, but at the same time, as a person, I am so in awe of folks that push back in a way that creates institutional change and power. It's so lovely, and it takes so much courage to do. But again, it can be done. So as you go through the month, think of Harvey, listen about his life. And trust me, we're going to, in the spirit of general query, the people we highlight, it's going to be diversity times 10. So, Harvey Milk was a white gay man Next episode, we're going to show you someone that looks completely different from a completely different background doing the very same thing. So we'll keep you posted. But in the meantime, you should do your motherfucking homework. It's you. All of y'all.
Right.
And get some more deets on Harvey Milk because he was the best.
Yeah.
A hero for the community.
A hero for sure. Yeah. Definitely inspirational.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, today I got out of bed at like a normal time and I did like an at-home workout. And then I worked.
Right.
So that's what I did today.
Here's the thing. I love that you love to underestimate what you're doing.
Yeah, I have to. Let's be real. Yeah. Like,
but here's the thing. Even us, you and I, having a podcast, having a voice, expressing our voice and expressing our passion for the queer community, because like you mentioned, as a queer ally, you are here for us. Just to hear you be that positive, and then I'm here representing our queer community and talking about it. So like, I think don't underestimate that. And I'm glad this is being recorded.
Recorded. Yeah, because you know what? You're right.
Because you and I, you know, and this is my hope, that that one person who's questioning their life, that one person who is having a really hard time. Yeah. If we get to those ears and they hear us, they will know where to go. They will know where to come. They will reach out, I hope. And, you know, and that's kind of like what the purpose is.
That's kind of like the whole point.
So don't underestimate what you're doing, you little queer ally.
Yeah. And the same goes, honestly, that's a very good point. Because the same goes to all of y'all. Like to the point of like a Harvey Milk and like him becoming a politician. Yo, when I tell you he fell ass backwards, no pun intended, very on brand. He fell ass backwards. I'm pretty sure he was a bottom. Probably a power bottom, but you'll see he's really slight. Anyways, but I'm just making assumptions. Harvey's like in heaven, like bitch. Yeah.
He's like, first of all, I was a twink. Second of all, I was a power twink.
Harvey's all upset at me. But no, so like he was not. This wasn't his career. He didn't, you know, go to school for this. This was just something he felt passionately about.
Yeah.
And he just went and did it. So to Fonz's point, you're right. Any little grain of salt you put towards a good thing in the world, so fucking worth it.
Yeah. And I think that's why we keep on asking you guys to submit your coming out stories throughout this month. And we'll probably publish the stories at the end of the month because we'll give you guys plenty of time to open up. That's why we keep on pushing and asking you guys to submit your coming out stories, because those are inspirations for people.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned during our 51st episode, like we all had a different coming out story, you know?
Right.
And your story might help someone. Your story might inspire someone.
Yes. Yeah. So take a leaf out of Harvey Milk's book. Listen to the podcast, I'll link, and then we're gonna take a real quick break and we'll be right back to talk about.
But before we take the break, I want you to repeat that quote.
Which one?
From Harvey Milk.
Oh.
And then we'll take our break.
Absolutely.
I just want it engraved in everyone's brain.
Yes. Okay. Harvey Milk said, "I cannot prevent anyone from getting angry or mad or frustrated. I can only hope that they'll turn that anger and frustration and madness into something positive so that 2, 3, 4, 500 will step forward. So the gay doctors will come out, the gay lawyers, the gay judges, the gay bankers, the gay architects. I hope that every professional gay will say enough, come forward and tell everybody, wear a sign, let the world know Maybe that will help.
Yep.
And that's on Harvey Milk.
And
So,
with that,
yeah,
we will take a little break.
quick little break. We'll be right back. All right, guys. So we are back. And so on the latter half, second half of the episode, we're going to talk about homophobia. Yeah. Because you can't have Pride Month without homophobia.
Without the homophobes. Yep.
Without the homophobes. And I think, okay, so it's important, right? Because this is I think another like maybe soapbox moment for me. But Fonz knows this. Most people in my life know this. I'm kind of a stickler for words. I will not say one word when 10 will do the trick, as you guys have noticed. I love words. I love language. And I think it's highly, highly relevant, right? And so, especially in today's world where everybody thinks they know what a word means, we want to make sure we're providing you with actual definitions and like some context into what these buzzwords are. Yeah.
On that note, I think we should do then like a 2-word little definition moment.
Sure.
The first one will be homophobia, and then the second one will be bigot or bigotry.
Perfect. Happy to accommodate. Because like I said, I am a contributor to Wikipedia, so I am happy to provide that. Shout out to my family member that was very excited to know that you could donate to Wikipedia. Love you. Okay. So homophobia encompasses a range of negative attitudes and feelings towards homosexuality or people who identify or are perceived, this is key, perceived as being lesbian, gay, or bisexual. It has been defined as contempt, prejudice, aversion, hatred, or antipathy, which may be based on an irrational fear and may sometimes be attributed to religious beliefs. Homophobia is observable in critical and hostile behaviors such as discrimination and violence, the basis of sexual orientations that are non-heterosexual. Recognized types of homophobia, this is super important, include institutionalized homophobia, so homophobia that you find in the workplace, healthcare, education, justice system, things like that, or religious homophobia and state-sponsored homophobia, as well as internalized homophobia, which is experienced by people who have same-sex attractions regardless of how they identify. So that's homophobia in a nutshell. So it's basically this.
You know what's very intriguing to me?
Yeah.
So when you break down the words, right? Homo, human, phobia, fear.
Fear. Yep.
Right. But then when you put them together, it's specifically directed to queer people, and then phobia kind of disappears and turns into hate.
Yep.
You know? I don't know.
Yep.
Play of words. It's interesting.
No, it's very, very interesting. And I think it goes into how deeply we see these things, or how, you know, it's very specific. So bigotry is an effective feeling towards a person based on their perceived group membership. And once again, this is key. It's the same thing with perceived. That's a very, very key thing, is that
keyword.
With a lot of people, when they think they see something that reads gay, reads this way or whatever, it causes this sort of thing to bubble up in them, and it's perceived. Nothing is telling them that it's real. It's purely perceived. So that's key here. The word is often used to refer to a preconceived, usually unfavorable evaluation, or classification of another person based on that person's personal characteristics, such as brace yourself, political affiliation, sex, gender identity, beliefs, values, social class. Literally, guys, there's a list of 15 things. Okay.
Absolutely.
Or any other perceived characteristics, right? The word bigotry or prejudice can also refer to unfounded or pigeonholed beliefs, and it may apply to any unreasonable attitude that is unusually resistant to rational influence.
The definition of it all. Okay.
Yes. Gordon Allport defined bigotry as a feeling, favorable or unfavorable, toward a person or thing prior to and not based on actual experience. So that
I love the little hair flip.
That is how those two words fit together, y'all, in that homophobia and bigotry, prejudice are these two things that are largely imagined, are largely harmful. And the sad thing is that they come from a place that normally is from a person that has never truly seen what they think they're afraid of, has never truly experienced what they think they hate. And they don't know what it actually is. Another person that has a really good quote on this, but this was in regards to race, but it applies here too, is Trevor Noah. And he talks about how racism doesn't hold up well against close contact, right? So these ideas are ideas that hold no weight if you're actually interacting with the people that you think you hate or despise, or their lifestyles. Because that's another word that I hear used a lot by homophobes, is like, I don't dislike the person, I just don't like their lifestyle. Chosen
lifestyle. Chosen is like, yeah.
Yeah, just like I chose to walk around with my tits today. That's how much gay people choose to be gay, literally.
Right. Because we choose to be hated, we choose to be bullied, we choose to be, discriminated against. Yeah, we choose to do that because it feels so delightful.
You choose to, and on the flip side, you choose to be fabulous, you choose to be creative, you choose to be funny, you choose to be caring.
Here, I will say that is chosen for sure, because I will talk about a lot of gays with zero taste. Which brings me to the first bullet point, which is like internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
That is a chosen state of mind.
Oh, so you think it's a chosen state of mind?
Internalized homophobia, yes.
Yeah. You don't think it's a socialized state of mind? Like, you don't think that's a learned behavior?
Choosing to follow. You're choosing to follow the social norm. Therefore, it is your choice to follow their opinions, to follow their beliefs.
Yeah, you're saying you're choosing to stay that way. Like, you're happy. Yeah.
You're not choosing to be gay because you're gay as fuck. You're just choosing to follow those beliefs. Following beliefs is a choice.
That's right. Okay. Yes. No. Yeah. I think that's absolutely fair. I think the same goes. Yeah, I can completely understand where you're coming from, and like, that's how I feel about, like, anti-feminists that are like posting on social media and don't see the irony behind it.
Right.
Like, that's how I feel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying
they're choosing to follow the norm.
Right. Right. Yeah. While fully making and taking advantage of the fact that the people that have gone against the norm gave them the ability to have a platform.
A voice, yes. Period.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
A voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's
Same
another
scenario.
thing. Yeah, that's another thing that I think is so hard with things like internalized homophobia is that I think it opens up the thing to carry this resentment in that, yeah, you can hate, insert gay whatever here, right? But you still get to benefit from the inroads that the people that didn't hide paved
right.
for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
something that's
I think for
important.
me,
Yeah.
the thing that really bothers me about our community and internalized homophobes is the fact that they will Mike Pence, they will fight forever to keep the norm, to keep queer out, to keep us suppressed. They use words like, I'm not a homophobe, but I dislike super femme people. Listen to episode 51. Um, they will use terms like, I don't like super feminine people. I don't like queer culture. I'm not a part of queer culture. Like, I don't socialize with queer people, whatever. These are internalized homophobes. Why do I say that? Because the fact that you don't like or you don't, it's not your preference or whatever, doesn't mean you're excluded or you're saved from. It just means you choose to be ignorant and you choose to go against, because whether you like it or not, these extremely feminine, these outspoken, loud, purple and glitter and rainbow people are part of your community. These people are the people that have fought and on a daily basis fight, because whether you like it or not, like the femme queers in our community daily fight for us because they are the ones in the front line when it comes down to discrimination. Why? Because just yesterday, I'll give you a little story. Just yesterday, I was at the store. We were closing down, and there was this extremely feminine gay person walking around, and they came up to the Mac counter, which, if you guys don't know, Mac is like extremely influenced by queer culture. They represent, or they really represent the community. And so
Yeah.
they were by one of the associates in the Mac counter because they happen to be friends. And so like the Mac employee walked this person out one of the doors because apparently this queer person was being followed around by two conservative women, and these two conservative women were telling them or calling them faggot and disgusting. Right, which here's the thing, and I was kind of bothered by it, but like I can only do so much as a manager. But like, if I had known that this kind of harassment was going on, like I would have done something about it. Like I wouldn't, not only because I'm part of the community, but because in a store environment, like you are not here to discriminate. I don't care what you're discriminating. Like every single person's dollar counts equally. So I wish I would have known better. But going back to my point, like these are the people that face the discrimination on a daily basis. And for you, as a straight acting, as a straight presenting queer person, to be like, oh, I don't necessarily like, or I don't necessarily agree with very femme or very flamboyant queers, you are negating the fact that these people are on the front line of your rights. They are on the front. They are the reason why you have the right to say, I don't necessarily agree or I don't necessarily like. Because of them, you're able to say that.
Exactly. That is such an eloquent way to put it. Absolutely. Because most importantly, to these people that are already leaning towards being very bigoted, that's all they see. To them, there is no other type of gay person but that gay person.
Yeah.
And every gay person looks like that. So, so I think that's a perfect way to put it. they're on the front lines of the vitriol that these people put out there, because they are the ones that, to these bigots, they overtly represent what the community is or how the
Right.
community behaves, right?
Yeah.
And while you have the opportunity to say, you know what? The queer community is so diverse and it's not a monolith, and there are so many variations how you can present as a queer person. And you know what? I'm straight passing and I'm straight presenting. So let me tell you about how, whatever, but I'm going to stand up for the people in my community. You can do that. Instead, you go and do the fucking opposite.
Right.
Which is not me.
Right. Right.
Sir.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, hand back your card.
Going back to the story I shared from last episode,
yeah,
the person that reached out and they're like, "Oh, I just don't like very femme people." I'm like, "Bitch!" Like, as soon as I saw you walk by, I saw 3 fucking faggots. Like, there's no better way to put it. Your tights were, I mean, your shorts were tighter than my boxers. So, yeah.
See,
That's.
Come on now.
Yeah, we don't like very femme people. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's absolutely key. And I don't like the idea that you refuse to learn. I don't like that, because I
don't think
important.
They refuse to learn. I go back to my previous statement. They choose not to.
They choose to not. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just much more comfortable in the like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're more comfortable fitting in. They're more, of course. I mean, it is scary.
Of course.
Yeah. Putting yourself out and being flamboyant, and like even me, and for me it's like for other reasons, but like I wish I could, or I had the confidence to go out on the streets with like a crop top. I don't have the potty for it, but if I did, I probably would. But like, that's the thing. Your face, you're like, what? That's the thing. Like, of course it is frightening to be flamboyant. It is frightening to be not the norm of what a masculine gay should be.
Yeah,
it is scary, but
of course it is. Of course it is.
But don't hate on it. Just because you're afraid to live it doesn't mean you have to make other people afraid of doing it.
That's a sentence.
Yeah.
That's a sentence. Just because you're afraid of living it doesn't mean anything for anyone else. And you certainly
don't suppress what you hate. That's the most ridiculous thing.
That's the most ridiculous fucking thing. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, once again, I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes, but this goes directly to the allies that may be listening to this episode, is that allyship cannot be quiet. And I want to make sure that is very, very understood. We cannot be quiet, because in a world, in an environment where these feelings are still very much freely expressed and thought about and this and that, us as allies, we have the quote institutional power to not deal with this shit.
100%.
So if you see it, call it out.
Yep.
Call it out.
Yep.
Call it out and say it. And really quick, as a note, because this kind of goes into the Instagram post that we talked at the top of the episode. People love to bring up their children when it comes to homophobia and gay issues. Let me get comfortable real quick. People love to bring up their fucking kids. Well, I don't want my kids exposed to that. I don't want my kids exposed to what?
What exactly? Yeah.
Name it. Number one, guarantee you can't. Right. Number two, do you even know what your children are actually exposed to that is infinitely more harmful than them being around a gay person or seeing a
100%.
pride flag flying anywhere. You know what's more harmful to your children? Your incompetence as a parent to provide context to your children, to teach your children to love everyone and to be tolerant and to be a human being that wants to understand and wants to be inclusive. That is so much more infinitely harmful to your child than a gay person minding their fucking business over there on the corner.
100%.
That is harmful.
Yeah.
So before
Yeah.
you weaponize your kids, let's be real, right? Yeah.
Check yourself.
Check
like Naomi
yourself.
Campbell would say, fix your lipstick before you talk to me.
Fix your fucking lipstick before you talk to me. And so in that, as an ally, to all my allies out there, check your fucking friends. Check your friends. Call them out. You can do it with humor. I do it often. I told Fonz a whole ass story
Right.
about me checking a friend of mine, but you can do it with humor and you can do it kindly, but you have to do it because for a lot of people, this is life or death. While you may be sitting comfortably in your job or anything like that, think about how often after the Orlando shooting, the Pulse shooting, this is a direct question to my allies out there. How often did you think of your friends going out? And how often were you terrified? Because I'll tell you that for me, it was all the time. And it still is. Every single Pride Month, I worry about my friends and my family and where they're going to go. And if some fucking moron is going to come and ruin their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you think that it's uncomfortable to say something, think of those instances because I'm not even being dramatic. That's literally what's at stake.
Unfortunate reality. Yeah.
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 So
I think I love that you brought up the allies because there's strength and power. I mean, power in numbers. There you go. That's what I wanted to say. There's power in numbers. And although the queer community is massive, we can be 10 times louder with our allies. And I think I really want to shout out my mother because she's like the perfect ally.
She is.
Whenever she hears like a bigot comment or like some conservative comment regarding the community, she'll check people real quick. And I think that is, I mean, to your point, that is what an ally does, you know?
Yes.
If you hear a comment, check those people on the spot. Like,
say it.
Question their reasoning. Why not?
Yeah. You know what I love that almost always works is half of these people at the end of the day, they're cowards. Really, at their core, they're cowards. Mm-hmm, they're scared. Mm-hmm. They're scared people. Mm-hmm. There's people that operate on fear. So they're scared. So they'll say something. You're like, I'm sorry, did you say? And then you say it, whatever they say.
Right.
You're like, did you say that?
And they'll question it immediately.
9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, no. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard that, but I was like, that's crazy. There's no way you would have said that, right? Right. Okay. Have a good day. Yeah. And just go about your day. Because it's, it can be really that simple, guys.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So it's just, it's not worth, and that's the thing. My view is that if you're a true ally, if you don't say something, you're going to regret it. Yeah. You're going to beat yourself up.
100%. And I encourage our queer community because it's very easy for, and I hate to like put people in boxes, but it's very easy for white entitled females to have their GBF. But when it comes down to like standing up for them, these are the first people to turn their backs on them. So I encourage you as queer people to challenge your allies, you know, Are you really an ally or are you just here for fun?
Yeah. Are you just here to go down to the gay bars and
Right.
have fun?
Right. Yeah.
Is that, yeah?
Like
Are you
we're
just
not a
here to go to,
token on your fucking shoulder. Like you better stand up for us.
you know, exactly. No. Yeah. I love that you called that out. Yeah. The GBF culture in general, right? And it is
Right.
largely populated by liberal white women, right?
Yeah.
That are just like, I
Yeah.
have a gay best friend.
Right. And they like actively search for a GBF. I'm like, bitch, fuck off. I'm not white.
Yeah. Like it's a collectible.
Right, right. I'm not gonna be your Pokemon. Like, fuck off.
Gay Pokemon Go. Let's see where
Love it.
a fire
Collect them all.
gay, a water gay.
No, you have your
uh,
top gay, your bottom gay, your burst gay. Your
yeah,
flamboyant gay, your straight acting gay.
all the gays.
Collect
So
them all.
all
But be an ally, bitch.
oh, that sings to my millennial heart. We should make that into a t-shirt. Uh
I remember like when we opened this year, we were like, TikTok shop. So that might be something that goes on it. We will trademark it tomorrow. So you better not steal it,
you
motherfuckers.
better not steal the collect them all idea because that's so fucking funny. Or like a gay Tamagotchi. You gotta water it, make sure you don't take it outside
You
and all
feed
that fun
it. Yeah.
stuff. You feed it.
Just feed it
Wow,
semen. It'll be fine. Just kidding.
we just fucking aged ourselves hardcore.
That's fine. I mean, here's the thing: the people that listen to us know who we are.
That's right.
I think I've
Yeah.
said 34 plenty.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I think really quick before we close out, at the top of the episode, we talked about the rainbow star on the mountain in El Paso. And I obviously had a lot to say, but Fonz, I feel like I didn't let you speak much on that. So what is your take on the whole
I
shebang?
think once again, I'm going to repeat what I said earlier.
Yeah.
It stems from ignorance.
Okay.
Blatantly, it's ignorance.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, one, politically, you have zero fucks to give. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what the star colors mean. Because if you live in El Paso, you know the majority of the year it is white. If you see it any other color, it stands for something. And I will tell you,
Yeah.
blue does not stand for Pride Month. I will tell you that. Red does not stand for Pride Month. Like, if you've seen it any other color than white, it means something. And have you
Something
questioned it? No. You've only questioned it because of the rainbow, motherfucker.
Right. And so check yourself.
Yes.
Check yourself.
Every time I hear check yourself, it just brings me back to that moment with Naomi Campbell because it's iconic where she's like, fix your lipstick before you talk to me. Like,
Truly,
literally check yourself.
if you're going to come talk some shit to me, I'm going to need you to come correct.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
Don't do all this shit. And for me, like, especially in a border town, okay, where the majority percentage of the population there is immigrant, comes from immigrants, immigrant adjacent. We'll just call it that. Let's be very fucking honest that bigotry, which we defined for you a couple minutes ago, extends to you too. So how Fonz was saying that this internalized homophobia, you think it shields you from the overall bigotry that others may have for you? It doesn't. So while you may feel empowered and emboldened to hate this thing because it's the gay thing, you need to remember who you are as a person. Because I guarantee you, if you leave El Paso and you go further than Ruidoso, someone might have a fucking opinion about just the way you fucking look, bitch. Straight or not.
100%.
So the next time you bitch about the rainbows on that, and this is my favorite thing, they're like, it's a God thing. That's right. It is. As your resident atheist, I can tell you the rainbow comes from God's promise after the flood. So after your precious God flooded the earth to purge it of all the sinners, he promised the rainbow. And in the Bible, it says that he promised the rainbow to everyone because the God of the New Testament was forgiving and loving. So you're right. The rainbow is a symbol of God and God's promise to Christians. Yeah. And God's promise was love. So
For everyone.
for everyone. So yeah. So if you see the rainbow and it triggers you to that degree to be saying some wild shit like I'm going to Juarez, girl, go.
Go.
Please.
Good luck.
I beg you.
We do not need you. Which on that
Bye.
note, I know it's completely irrelevant to Pride Month, but like I love the fact that I've seen a bunch of like TikToks of like US white citizens moving to Mexico and complaining about the noise and the culture. I'm like, bitch, you're in a foreign country. Like, okay.
Go back to your own vanilla fucking stale bread,
Right.
non-music having fucking shit. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
actually, on that note, let's keep celebrating Pride Month. Let's stay away from things like homophobia and bigotry.
I don't
And if
say I'm gonna challenge you on that one. Don't stay away. Challenge it.
Challenge it. That's much better. Absolutely. Challenge it. If you see it, call it out.
Yep.
We're not standing for it anymore, y'all.
Be a good ally.
Be a good ally and be a good gay.
Yes. On that note, okay, here's the thing. Like, I know there's a place and time for everything. Okay.
Yeah.
8 a.m. wearing latex in San Jacinto Plaza.
I saw that. Yeah. Not the time
You're
and
not
place.
helping the case. Hate to say it, but you are not helping us.
You're not helping the cause. Yeah. I saw that. I was like, friend,
Like, I love it for you. Wrong
But-
place, wrong time. Like,
yeah.
No. We either
Yeah.
do that in our bedroom or we do that during Pride Month at the Pride Fest or Pride Festival or Pride Parade. Like, we do not
Right.
do that at
No.
8 a.m. in
Right.
a public place.
Right. So let's keep it cute.
Yeah.
And make sure you send us all those lovely coming out stories as we go through.
Please do.
Please send them through.
Like I mentioned earlier, you will inspire people. Yes, we have a voice. Yes, you can have a voice too. But
yes.
Utilize what you can, and if you would love to share your voice and your story with us, please do. Whether it be good or bad, you will inspire people.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys. So until next time, this has been General Query. Bye, guys. Bye.